Well, many of you did watch it, many of you didn't watch it. I was one of the ones who didn't watch it because I just chose not to. I'm talking Tyson Fury against Francis Ngannou over in Saudi Arabia. There was opinion that Fury had nailed it. There was opinion that Ngannou had won it. But the judges scored it this way: 95-94 Ngannou, 96-93 Fury, 95-94 Fury. So Fury left the winner, although Ngannou was the man that everybody seemed to be talking about post-fight. But pre the fight, before the night, on the idea of a December 23rd fight between Fury and Usyk, this was Fury and what he said before he get in with Ngannou.
Usyk has to fight me in December. He doesn't have a choice. He signed a contract, so if he doesn't, he's breached contract and he gets sued.
So he'll get sued, said Tyson. He's got to fight me. He doesn't fight me. He doesn't have a choice. So this was Fury after he got the points decision on Ngannou on that December 23rd fight against Usyk.
Put the biggest fight of our generation on, the fight of the century for the Undisputed Championships of the world. See you all sometime next year. Have a good Christmas if I don't see you, and a Happy New Year.
Next year. All of a sudden it became next year, Simon. I think from our old chum Frank Warren, it's also becoming next year. Or is it? Am I wrong in that?
Well, this is probably an example of Tyson Fury writing a cheque with his mouth that he can't cash. You know, he's either going to enforce a fight on the 23rd of December or he's not. And the irony of Frank, with all due respect, or Uncle Frank as everyone was referring to him on Saturday nights, suggesting that he needs a little bit more time, isn't this the same situation as when Anthony Joshua lost to Usyk in a far more meaningful fight, I might venture, and the Furies and Warrens were saying, you need to fight him at the end of November. There's plenty of time for you to turn around. Isn't that the same logic being deployed, or does it not? Well, it doesn't work that way with the Fury camp, because you have to believe probably 10% of what you hear and 5% of what you see.
Yeah.
The bottom line is the most important thing. I don't actually think, in all due respect to Frank and to Tyson Fury and his team, that the 23rd of December date really matters, as long as the fight is going to happen. If the fight is going to happen during Riyadh season, as Frank has regularly said, it doesn't really matter that we get stuck up on dates. Otherwise, we disappear into the sort of debates that we have already with Eddie Hearn about dates being the prevalent thing. It's the fight. If it's going to happen, that's the most important thing. But a lot of people would have heard a lot of things this week from Tyson Fury. The fact that ultimately he likened Ngannou going into a fight with him as a ping-pong player going onto centre court and expecting to beat Novak Djokovic in the Wimbledon final. Yeah. That was a comparison that came out of his mouth.
Well, it's clear that Alexander Usyk's camp know what they're in with Tyson Fury. And this morning, the man who promotes Usyk's fights, Alex Krassyuk, he was on the move. But it didn't stop him talking to talkSPORT. And he took a step back after I said to him, all right, you're man against Fury. When are we going to see it?
I have no idea at the moment. Some minutes he thinks he's ready to go. In other 5-10 minutes he's like hesitating. I have no idea. We take a short break to work out the plan.
Alex, can you no longer be confident in anything Fury says?
Can anyone be?
What does Alexander want?
He wants the undisputed. As we agreed in early September, December 23, we have set up a training camp for him in Spain. He's focused on December 23 and he wants to push for December 23.
Fury is saying maybe in the new year. Would you be prepared to wait till the new year?
Well, it's not something that we agreed for, but if he's really injured, what can we do? This is number one. And number two, we would not like to beat Saturday night version of Fury. It brings no benefit and no credits if you beat up a man like that. We want Fury to be in his best shape ever. That's what we want to see, because we are thinking not just about the belt. We try to create the history, and the history has to be spectacular.
Alex, Usyk says if Fury doesn't fight him in December, he should vacate the belt. Do you agree?
Why not? Listen, Fury had to vacate the belt a couple years ago. But we know how this business works. And we need him. We need this personality in boxing. He's bringing a lot of attention to our sport. And no matter how positive or negative the character is, we all benefit from this.
The judges gave Fury the fight against Ngannou. What did you think?
I had Fury ahead on points on my card.
And that was Crasher off and running. Simon,
he's got to say that, hasn't he, really? Because he wants to fight with Fury to have some meaning attached to it.
One thing that stood out for me there was that Crasher quite openly and honestly said, look, here's the thing, we don't want to fight the Fury we saw on Saturday night.
Yes, and I think that's probably right. But actually, in fact, if they want to win the fight, they actually do. Because if they want the Fury that's the real Fury, that I believe is far better than what we saw on Saturday night, I maintain the view that Fury will beat Usyk and beat him comfortably. They should actually want the Fury they saw on Saturday night.
But it's not sensible, is it, for him to fight on the 23rd of December, is it? I mean, you think about the bruising that he took. This is a heavyweight boxer that, if we look in the past, look, Lennox Lewis may be a part. This is a proud heavyweight champion that we should be proud of his merits as a British champion.
We should be proud of his
so we want him to be ready at his best. We don't want him to fight if he's not really ready. Now, it didn't go well the other night, so it's a case of, okay, look, we have to change. We have to change the plan. We can't send him into camp too soon. There was an injury. He cut his eye. That's going to.
He cut his forehead.
Well,
that's hardly an issue for a boxer, really. And it's the same. We've got to have an equal playing field. Everybody is proud of people's achievements. Some of the things that comes out of their mouth, I don't think you can be proud of. I don't think you can be proud that Joshua had an outburst after the Usyk fight. I don't think you can be proud of certain other things that Tyson Fury said in the recent week.
I'm talking about the merits of his boxing.
But let's look at the merits. Let's look at the merits of the argument. And he's been given plenty of praise for that, and unfortunately a little bit of criticism, and therein lies a problem.
Well, he fell below the standards that he set the other night.
He has said previously that the fight against Anthony Joshua that he so graciously offered him after Joshua lost to Usyk, and not an MMA fighter that hadn't fought for 2 years and was in his first fight, right, that he should fight him then. So why isn't the same standard? And by the way, we're only judging Tyson Fury, like Adam Cattrall said on his show Saturday evening, by the things that come out of his mouth. He is the one that said this fight will happen on the 23rd of December. Otherwise, I sue people. I'm sorry, I'm not making that up. Neither is anybody else. I'm sure that his team
they say a lot of things going. They say a lot of things going into fights, and afterwards, reality sinks in.
Contractual obligation is a contractual obligation.
But hold on a minute. Tyson Fury is the one that everybody wants to fight, isn't he? He's the collateral in all this. You've got to give him time to be well enough to fight. And would you want to fight him in the shape he was in the other night?
Yes, if I'm Usyk, because it's my one chance of winning. If I'm Usyk,
but then we'll always say that he was never at his best.
3 belts, and Tyson Fury has got 1. So there is more collateral being brought to the table. We can argue that Usyk doesn't have the same popularity and the charisma that Tyson Fury often and not always exhibits. But notwithstanding it, you need a dance partner, and that dance partner is Usyk that brings 3 belts to the table. And the bottom line with Fury is he operates on a set of standards that he doesn't deploy himself. He's gone into a fight that we saw on Saturday evening that I wasn't going to watch, and circumstances gave me an opportunity to watch. So I climbed back from that position.
I think he's going to come back fighting, though, Simon.
He's going to come back and win.
But maybe this is the wake-up call he needed. Because
I mean, let's not lose sight.
Complacency must have set in
behind all of this. Well,
Frank Warren
has spent the entire morning getting very cross with me, telling me that it's got nothing to do with complacency. It's got nothing to do with not being prepared. Pretty much shut my mouth about that argument, because Ngannou was a lot better than people anticipated, and us pundits that talked about him being a novice were wrong. So what I've got to now adjust my argument that the world's greatest heavyweight that we all think has struggled to overcome a 37-year-old MMA fighter that hasn't fought for 18 months, has had knee rebuild surgery, that is making his debut in boxing. That's our WBC glorious generational champion. So we have to give it context, and I couldn't care less.
But they underestimated their opponent. Maybe he's almost the worst opponent for him. He likes to bully. Fury bullies his opponents.
If it had gone to plan for Fury on Saturday night in Saudi, and he'd got rid of Ngannou earlier, he'd be fighting Usyk in December the 23rd.
All we care about really is if we want to be pedantic like certain people are and make it twist on the points, we're only concerned, insofar as either one of us are concerned, is that the fight happens. And I don't care if it happens on December the 23rd or January the 29th. Let's have it right? I only care that it happens. So if people want to start beating people up over dates, the only reason you feel the necessity to do it is because Fury opens his mouth and says the most ridiculous things and then starts getting upset when he gets pulled up about it. The bottom line is that in that fight, there is a really good argument on Saturday to suggest that Tyson Fury didn't win. And there's a really good argument to suggest there are reasons why it was given to him. Now, those are arguments. They're not facts. They're arguments. And that's what happens in debates. People make arguments. And the facts of the matter is that the scorecard was given to Tyson Fury. There were lots of people that were suggesting that fight I looked at it from what my opinion is worth, and I make a case for a draw. I don't make a case for Tyson Fury. But I tell you what, I listen to the Usyk camp, who know damn sight more about it than I do, and say they make it a Tyson Fury win. But they would say that, wouldn't
But Fury
they?
looks at that now, doesn't he?
Interest.
Simon,
the fight.
So look at the embarrassment for him if he'd have lost that fight. This has got to be a huge wake-up. It's a wake-up call for him, isn't it? Or he walks away.
Look at the embarrassment of the noise. We've got somebody on camera telling us that he should be given special dispensation by the government. He shouldn't have to queue at airports, right, because of the hundreds of millions of pounds he's brought into the English economy for fights in Wembley Stadium of 90,000 people. If you believe that's hundreds of millions, Tyson, then you're away with yourself. But notwithstanding it, your achievements as a fighter have been remarkable. But you also look at the other side of the argument. When you want to make a claim to be the generational great heavyweight, Anthony Joshua's had 12 world title fights. Tyson Fury's had 6, 3 against the same fella, and 2 against people that he's already beaten. Right?
Very good fighter, by the way.
So with that in mind,
let's not underestimate his opponent in that situation.
A fair and grown-up conversation. Will he beat Alexander Usyk when they fight? In my opinion, yes. Did that fight create a situation where all of the background noise all over, because what's happening in Saudi,
he can only beat the best that's around in the era that he's in, and you have to say in the era that he's been in,
so
he's been the dominant fighter.
We get a really good non-league centre forward to come and run you ragged when you're in the Arsenal.
Maybe he just made the perfect.
That's the levels, isn't it?
Just the opponent he didn't want. He was unorthodox. He kept switching his stance. If you look at Fury,
in spite of all that though, Martin, the feeling out there is strong about where Fury stands this Monday morning. There's one. Lee, good morning everybody. If Frank Warren and Fury do pull out the 23rd of December fight, Fury should vacate the belt. It's almost fraudulent what's going on. I mean, Simon, it was Fury. We heard in that clip before he went in against Ngannou. If Usyk doesn't fight me the 23rd of December, then we'll be suing him.
But we also know, in fairness to Tyson and to Frank Warren, that we know lots of things get said in a build-up. Tyson, I mean, we saw, and it did make me cringe, and Frank will probably get very cross with me, when Frank's standing in the ring saying, it's up to the boss, it's up to the boss. I sort of sat there thinking, right, okay, I'm not sure I would refer to myself in that position if I was in Frank's position. But the boss in this instance believes himself to be Tyson Fury. We saw the deadline. We saw it on his Netflix documentary where he's doing a countdown. He's being advised on the phone by the Queensberry, don't do this, Tyson. We can still get this fight on. Don't set some false deadline at 5 o'clock. Let's build it. No, deadline, bang. Fury now says deadline is 23rd of December. So he's getting caught in his own silliness.
Yeah.
It's laughable. But do you know what's worse about it all? We're all talking about Tyson Fury and his performance on Saturday evening and his behaviour last week doesn't really warrant it, I'm afraid. But here we are talking about